Hello, universe. It's Wednesday. It's March 20th. It's 5:28 in the PM, which means in about an hour and a half, more like an hour and 43 minutes, I'm going to watch the Colorado University Buffaloes tip off against, I want to say Boise State. That could be wrong. But some team in the 10 versus 10 matchup to officially become a 10. We're just a couple of competing 10s at this point. We're not really dubbed a 10 yet. But when they dub us a 10, like they did to Colorado State University Rams last night, well, this state of basketball frenzy after the Nuggets won the championship, for fuck's sake, that happened last year. That really happened. I mean, it really did. It really happened. I saw it happen. Anyway, now that we're a basketball powerhouse, well, we're adjusting to these riches of basketball favor. And tonight's game against the CU Rams? No, it's the CU Buffaloes. Oh, God, why did we name our teams the Buffaloes and the Rams? What were we thinking? Why couldn't we be in the Buffaloes and the Goldfish? Because then we'd have Goldfish as one of our teams, and that would be embarrassing. But not Colorado. Colorado's a state of upstanding, righteous mountain people. I think. I don't really know. But I have lived in Denver for most of my life, so that's a cop-out. But having copped out on the last episode without ever really getting back to the whole, how do we know the elections are rigged? Well, guess what we're going to talk about after I watch this basketball game against Boise State? Who knows? It'll be the Colorado University of Colorado. Okay, reset. It'll be the University of Colorado Buffaloes versus, potentially, the Boise State, what would they be? The Broncos. Could that be right? It could be. Pause. Unpause. Damn, I love when I'm right. And I mean, I wasn't totally right because I was doing that thing where I was calling the Broncos. I'm sorry, not the Broncos, because that's Boise State. But I was calling the Buffaloes the Rams, or the Rams the Buffaloes, or I called one of them Goldfish. None of that stuff was right. That was just me being joking around. I know, not funny. I get it. But the CU Buffaloes, Colorado University, or otherwise known as the University of Colorado Buffaloes basketball team, men's side, will be playing the Boise State Broncos men's basketball team. They're both quasi-10s. Yeah, they look good. They look really good. They're 10s. But to be an official 10 and get into the Dudley Moore movie, well, you've got to look like Bo Derek. And I don't know that anybody looks like Bo Derek anymore, right? I mean, Bo Derek was Bo Derek. But now, well, one of these teams will get their Bo Derek award, which means they get to play Florida. Yes, that's what happens if you're Bo Derek. You go to Florida and flaunt that shit. Pause. And pause. But let's not forget, this isn't about Bo Derek or 10s or the University of Colorado kicking ass against the Boise State Broncos in a game that was so pedestrian, it was like watching Colorado State Rams kick the shit out of the Virginia Cavaliers last night? Yeah, it could be a lot like that. Or maybe this state's basketball karma is about to get flipped upside down. Could be that too. But let's assume that it's not that, because that'd be freaking awesome. So, here's to more recording later, with hopefully less belching, unless it's the clean burps. And if you listen to the last one, then you know my non-player character cred is on an upswing. Pause. Good morning, audience. For once I speak not to the universe, but to you. If for some reason you're listening to this, in whatever format you are, there is a play speed adjustment indicator that will allow you to at least get to 2 times speed. Do it. And if you can't tolerate 2 times speed yet, you will be able to soon enough, starting at 1.75, 1.7, somewhere in that range. Once you have listened to 10 minutes of me at double speed, you'll realize how slowly I speak. And you'll just think, well, what was I wasting all that time before with, This is the one time I'm giving you back a gift that only you can appreciate. More free time. Something we all deserve. Listen to me at double time. Do something that you didn't want to be doing in the first place while you listen to me. And you'll knock 2 things off your list that are on your frustration list if you don't. Pause. Pause. still March 20th. However, new data recently acquired. The Colorado University, I gotta stop doing that. The University of Colorado Buffaloes men's basketball team, having just defeated the Boise State Broncos men's basketball team. Well, they are officially at 10. Yes, they and Bo Derek are now headed, well, not to Florida, but they're headed to Indianapolis, where they will run into a team from Florida. I think they are called the Tim Tebows. Pause. So, yeah, basketball karma in the state of Colorado reigns supreme at the moment. I do not know that this will carry on past... Well, I definitely think Colorado State's going to give Texas everything they asked for. Can they win that game? Fuck yeah, they can. Will they win that game? 30% chance. So I'm going to say no. Now, the University of Colorado team that beat the Boise State Broncos underperformed and had a moment of coming together in the clutch. All of which could give Florida serious trouble when they come to see the game in Indianapolis, 2:30 Friday afternoon. That one, I will take the Buffaloes. If you make me reluctantly pick Colorado State against Texas, what do they have to do to win that game? They have to get great play out of the two big guys at the top of the key. They have to be able to spread the interior because I don't think they'll have the power to deal with Texas's interior game, which is why I think Colorado State ends up losing by something like 8. Now, the Buffaloes have an entirely different interior presence with Mr. Number 44. So I think they can compete with Florida straight up. And if they can come and actually make the three-pointers like they did all season, they will win. Will they get past that game? No. They will beat Florida, and that will be the end of it. But that's the way I see it going down. So look for a competitive game out of Colorado State tomorrow, but a loss. And then look for I'm going to say a going down the stretch win, sort of a 10-point win by the Colorado Buffaloes in a game that makes them look way better than they are. And then they get trounced in round 2. Those are my predictions. Live with them I will. I've been pretty good with the sports lately, so let's see how these pan out. Pause. Pause. But as far as my mother's concerned, both these teams are going to kick ass and win everything. They're going all the way, baby. I mean, yeah, I know they'd end up playing each other in the Final Four. That's not that exciting. But only my mother actually has them both there. And, of course, I don't even know who she picked to go to the final game. But, you know, moms. Moms. Pause. Okay, but we did not come here to talk about basketball. I mean, maybe a little bit. But that is a little bit of it. That is enough of it. Let's get on to how do we know our elections are rigged? How do we know? Well, let's open up the old computer here and see if I can't just come up with the same list of things I put on here earlier. And then this conversation will move fluidly. Pause. Pause. All right, here's what I wrote down. And these don't even matter, but let's say them anyway. 1, nothing changes. That's one sign you know the elections are rigged. 2, the cheaters aren't even hiding anymore. Yeah, that's another way to know the elections are rigged. 3, Team Biden has shown no fear that he can't win this election, which is, on its face, absurd, ludicrous, completely out of bounds for any sensible political consultant. Why are they doing that? Because they're going to steal the election. Hello? So sign number 4, the Biden team still has shown no signs of concern. When they show signs of concern, I'll start to wonder if the elections might not be rigged. Until then, I expect them to steal the election because Trump will win the popular vote, but then Trump didn't win the popular vote against Clinton. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it. It doesn't matter. They will just select who they want to select. And in this case, it will be Joe Biden. It's pathetic, but it's what will happen. And they are already setting Trump up to underperform his numbers because they have inflated his No, they have deflated his totals in the current elections to look like he is coming in worse than the predictions for his actual polling. They are doing this so that when it happens nationwide, they have a body of Republican primary evidence to point to as indicative of, yep, I mean, we all should have seen it coming. He's been underperforming his numbers across the country for most of the primary season. And what do you know? It transferred over to the general election where Biden sneaks one by with a 3-vote advantage in the state of Michigan or wherever they pulled the final snafu. Anyway, so, okay, that's one way you could know that our elections are rigged. You could just look at what's going on and see that the wrong people are not worried about the right shit. And the right people are not worried about the wrong shit. And when the wrong people are worried about the wrong people thinking about the right shit with the wrong people but the right time at the right place, all of this could go into some sort of Biden economics where everything's supposed to look good even though it costs twice as much to get groceries now as it did 4 years ago. The country is frustrated. The country wants better. The country is being offered more of the same goddamn shit that we've been eating for 10 years. And none of us want it for another 15 minutes, let alone 4 more fucking years, right? So, to put us in a position to accept this, well, the game's been rigged for months against you. And you can't even see the long game coming because it manifests so suddenly and from out of nowhere. Like, holy crap, Biden had a 7-point fucking nationwide deficit to Trump and he won the election? Yeah. Now, why is this even possible? Why are we such fucking morons as a citizenry that we can allow this to occur? We can literally allow an election that will likely go in Trump's favor 60-40, if not 65-35, to go to Biden. Well, one, you've been told not to believe things like exit polls, which used to be the gold standard of predicting elections, to the point that the networks were, I don't know if they were ever fully restricted by the FCC. They were strongly admonished for publishing what was, by the time half the exit polls had been tabulated in any part of any election, you had a pretty good idea who was going to win that precinct. It didn't matter what time of day it was, 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 o'clock at night. If you had that much data, you had a whole lot of predictive value as to what was going to win the election. And so exit polls became something you weren't allowed to publish, at least not live, during broadcasts while elections were still ongoing. So you could publish official results because that was actual data. But predictive results coming from exit polls, the gold standard of network television election data in the 20th century, well, by the 21st century, those were no longer allowed. They were too fucking accurate. Pause. Unpause. Now, like any good, let's say, 1984 Orwellian fantasy lifestyle, like the one we all currently share together, in these circumstances, well, of course, they will tell you, well, exit polls are gone because they didn't work. They were dumb. They didn't work. Yeah, they didn't work when you started rigging the fucking elections. Pause. Unpause. Okay. So maybe you could have figured all that out in real time, that as they were stripping us of any data called exit polling data from the current election undergoing itself right now as predictive value for who's going to win, because it was always right on and then it wasn't, because all of a sudden something was happening behind the scenes that was telling us that this data was no longer trustable. Or all of a sudden the exit polls that had been working for 50 years stopped working. Oh, which one is it? Oh, fuck. Well, they convinced us it was the fucking latter. Oh, yeah. People are just crazy these days. They're so distracted, man. You can't trust them to come out of the poll where they just fucking voted and tell you what they voted. Nah, they can't get outside the door without fucking want to pull some shenanigans on you. Okay, yeah, that's what people do. Pause. Unpause. So they convince you that you can't trust election same day exit polling data. Even though it's so accurate in, I can't remember which election it was. I want to say it was the 88 Bush Dukakis battle. But it might have been the one before that. It might have been the Ferraro and who was on the top of that ticket? Mondale, maybe, against what, Reagan? The cannon fodder for the Reagan election. Geraldine Ferraro. We miss you, Geraldine. You still around? Probably. Anyway, whatever election became so overwhelming, it must have been the Reagan slaughter of well, Dukakis got his ass kicked too, though. Could have been any of those. Anyway, there was a point of after-election thought that by distributing the confident reality of, well, on this day, folks, it looks like Ronald Reagan has earned his way to his second term over Walter Mondale and Geraldine Ferraro, was announced around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, while people on the West Coast were still getting up, taking their bong hits, you know what I mean? I mean, at some point, it was like, there's only so much of that data that's fair to give a time zone 3 hours behind, and so they just negated all of it. And, of course, it's never come back. In fact, the exit poll data has disappeared entirely. And once in a while, you can find the scandals of exit poll data that creeps out and is actual data. You can find that in the 2004 election with George Bush and whoever ran in 2004. Was that Little Man? Little Man from Arizona? What was his name? The dude who got shot down that Trump made fun of? That guy. Could have been. Didn't he run 2 years in a row? Or two? Who knows? Who knows? He had that, like, injured left arm, like a flipper. But if you are looking for trusted data in any election, well, you're looking for exit poll data. Now, having turned that over to the phenomenon of cauldrons and witches and fairies, well, the next thing you're looking for are verifiable, tabulatable, individual voting results. Go recount the fucking election, right? I mean, do it yourself. Then you'll be confident you got the vote right. Okay, totally. Yeah, that stuff. None of which is available in American elections, even at the state level. Nobody in America counts the vote by tabulated public square counting of individual tabulated vote cards. Doesn't happen here. Yeah, the stuff that's been around for like thousands of years when it comes to democratic national elections, we don't do in America because we've moved past all that to machines that cannot be seen in terms of coding except by the proprietary owners of the machines themselves, which are corporates with financial interests in election outcomes. That's a much better system than public square counting that accounts for all things in an open-air environment, as it turns out. In case you haven't been to America lately and seen all the successes we're currently celebrating over here with our election secrecy. It's awesome. Pause. Unpause. So even if you hadn't figured out that when Clint Barnes, wasn't that his name? Or Clint Harris? I can't remember now. I don't think it was Harris. But the guy who in 2004 went in front of the Senate and testified that the voting machines were completely compromisable by anybody with a rudimentary programming background, literally. They were set up to be compromised. I think the words he used, if not specifically, very closely. And it was just, it was plain. This was, in fact, he knew of the vulnerabilities prior to 2004. He had seen them in 2000. And frankly, they had been put into place all the way back to 1970 in Florida, if you want to go look. Vote scam. That's a PDF you can find for free online, so you don't even have to pay to read the self-shattering evidence that our elections are rigged and have been for a long time. So if you just want to give Bev Harris, the Seattle grandma, the recognition she deserves, go visit blackboxvoting.org. She did that way back in 2002. Where were you? Not paying attention? I guess. That one made it all the way to an HBO documentary. So you had a whole lot of chance to run into Bev Harris. And might have even done so. And thought while you were watching the documentary, well, what the fuck is this? This is bullshit. This is all just propaganda. Fucking, our elections are safe. Yeah. Exceptional Americans being exceptional Americans. Not even knowing that their vote can't be trusted from the time it's cast to the time it's tabulated and they're told, look who your new leadership is. These people you didn't even vote for, but you'll accept it. Because what else are you going to do? There's a new Wheel of Fortune episode coming on after this, and you wouldn't want to miss that now, would you? I know I wouldn't. I love Wheel of Fortune. I mean, I don't know if I still love it, but I used to. Pause. Unpause. Unlike Family Feud, which I know I no longer love. And I used to. Right, Richard Dawson? Okay, I never loved Richard Dawson. Although, maybe if he kissed me, things would be different. Huh? Pause. Unpause. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. They would be very much not different. Pause. Okay, but wait a second. You say rigged elections. I mean, yeah, there have been people jockeying with fucking electoral counts. Who's that guy that Karl Rove had to put down? Yeah, what was his name? The guy from Ohio who stole the election in 2004. Got, what was it, 2007 when his own plane that he was the pilot of, that he was flying home in, that was the route that basically he had flown 1,000 times. He all of a sudden flew right into the dirt. Yeah, that guy. I can't think of his name. Something like Michael Collins? Something like that. Michael Collins, maybe? Anyway, with that much information, go figure it out, man. And then think, ooh, Karl Rove, I'm glad I never had an internship with you because I'd probably have been murdered. Probably. Pause. Pause. But let's be honest. I would never have taken a Republican internship, right? No, if I'd have gone down filthy Fairview Lane with anybody, it would have been with the Clintons. Oh, God, can you imagine? If I'd have been the wrong intern at the wrong time with Mr. William Jefferson Clinton, or God forbid with Hillary. Really. Rodham herself. All of that could have just been a major catastrophe for me. So, number one, I'm extremely lucky to have never had an internship with the Clintons. And number two, I'm extremely lucky to have never had a job with the CIA or any other spook agency / security agency / Homeland Security agency. And three, well, it was never going to happen, but I'm also really glad I never ended up in the military or law enforcement. And I agree. All of you should be nodding your head in approval with me. We're all glad you did too. Pause. Okay, unpause. My alarm went off for time to work out, so I got to go do an hour on the Nordic Trek. When that's done, I may come back or I may be passing out. We'll see. Pause. Unpause. All right, anybody who put their money on passing out, you just doubled your money. Assuming you got the odds at the correct fucking window in Vegas. All right, we're not going to talk gambling just because we've been watching the CBS Sports basketball tournament all day long, in which Colorado State got their ass kicked by Texas. Any other interpretation of the game is highly favorable. But they learned a lot, I'm sure. At least they got it to within, I think, a 7 or a 6 point gap at the 5 minute mark of the second half. 7 minute mark, somewhere in there. Point is, while they had enough gumption to make it a game, they never had enough gumption to threaten to win the game. But that said, Texas didn't look that good. In fact, Texas, if I had to guess, will get rolled by Tennessee. But I'm done predicting basketball. So far, my prediction has been dead on. I said that CSU would lose by 8 while they lost by 12. So I guess dead on is not exactly right. But tomorrow's game for Colorado against the Florida Gators of the Tim Tebow lands, I still take Colorado to win that game. I take them to win that game. I don't know if they're going to win it by 10 now. Doesn't seem like a matchup that favors them to win it going away. But since that's what I started with, that's what I'll stay with. I'll say that they win that game by a similar gap that Colorado State lost by today, somewhere in the 8 to 12 range. And if I'm right, then I 100% would say they will get trounced in round 2. But, you know, somebody's got to be a Cinderella this year, right? It's not just going to be Oakland. Way to go, Oakland. I always love seeing Kentucky lose. Oh, I love seeing Kentucky lose. Love it. Pause. Pause. And, you know, Wheel of Fortune, I'm pretty sure I don't like that show anymore. Only because it's gotten so weird with, like, the wheel. I like it when it was back when, you know, put $35 on a gift certificate, or, okay, I'll take the Dalmatian for $60. You know that Wheel of Fortune? That. Those were video games at their best. When we were still figuring shit out, like, what kind of prizes to give away. I mean, who needs a ceramic Dalmatian? Well, anybody who's been on Wheel of Fortune, that'd be like your go-to card. What do you mean you don't think I've been on Wheel of Fortune? What do you think the fucking ceramic Dalmatian in the fucking hallway is? You think I bought that? No. $60. $15 one on a gift certificate. Right? Yeah. Wheel of Fortune. Vanna White, Pat Sajak. Now, actually, it's probably still Vanna White and Pat Sajak, if I had to guess. Pause. I mean, if any two Hollywood people are drinking the adrenochrome, right? It's got to be those two. Pause. Not because I think they're evil devils. No, because they seem to be permanently young. Pause. Unpause. Now, if both of them are deceased, which of course they could be because this is me, well, R.I.P. Especially Vanna. And even a little bit you, Pat. Pause. Pause. All right. I know we're already somewhere in the 30-minute mark on this stitched together version of recording number, what is this one? 375. No, it's 475. 475. It's like a price for discount bread at the bakery, right? What are these? 475? For 2 of them? Fuck yeah. Wrap them up. I'll take them. 475. Okay, so 475. And we're still alive. We're not going to hand jive. And on this rhyme, we cannot thrive. So let's just go to another drive. And while we do that, anybody want to throw in right there? No? Okay. While we do that, let's make sure we cover the elections are rigged. Because of course they are. What we have here in America is a circumstance where it doesn't take much for somebody's integrity to be compromised. Because we put people in positions of great integrity. And this is what noble nations do. This isn't a flaw or a bug in the system. This is indeed a feature. We want our citizenry to ascend into positions of noble calling. It's part of what makes our humanity sing when we let it realize itself fully. We know that the causes among us are those that can drive the most unlikely of heroes from ignominious unknown to champion of our time. And it's with this sense of greatness, this optimistic feel for what we are, that, again, We just believe everything that we don't look into is going as it should. That turns out to be a huge 21st century error on anyone's part. Now, unfortunately, is the time when everything must be suspected for its potential to be misleading you. You need to ascertain as much real data and real world knowledge as possible at a time when the digital screen is feeding you variations of stories that are not the truth. I'm one of them. How dare you accept anything I say without some level of verification? I keep telling you I'm not lying to you, but you have no idea. And everything that I present, I stand by. Well, that is a certain level of accountability that I think, again, is a minimal level of accountability, sort of like counting all the fucking votes in the town square. Well, that doesn't mean that anything I say can't be rethought and re-evaluated for a 180-degree different perspective tomorrow. I am in progress at all times, as are you. The progress I try to make is one of self-reflection and elevation from within a sense of internal joy. And it's in that modus operandi that I come at the world. So it's not that I fear your investigation into my sense of what I am. I welcome it. I welcome it just like I hope you welcome the level of inspection that may be of interest to me toward you. I'm here to experience other humans having the experience that it is to be human with as much fanfare and reflective grace as possible. When that's achieved, well, maybe even I'll stop smoking weed. Pause. But probably not, because I fucking love smoking weed. I know giving up weed's going to be weird here when my stash runs out. We'll see. And this is again just voluntary. It's not like I couldn't go get more weed. I feel like there are times in life when your rhythms of behavior are given an opportunity to just do a 180. See what the fuck it means. See what life without weed is. See how long you can go. See if that's the change that forever adapts to your new lifestyle. What if it were? What if I never smoked weed again after, say, June 28th this year, when my stash probably will have run out? Well, that'd be unexpected, but welcome. I'm not married to weed. Not yet. I mean, she hasn't accepted my proposal, but, it's out there. So I'm not married to weed. But it is the single most consistent coping mechanism, compensation variable, redirection, mood uplift mechanism I've known. So, life without it? Yeah. I mean, fuck yeah. That would just indicate that the world was getting healthier and that my strength within it was confirmed. But that doesn't mean life with it is anything less than just as fun, if not more so, and a little more creative. So, weed offers bonus. It is not a deterrent to anything about your ability to see and love yourself completely. And in that way, I can't think of it as a drug. I can only think of it as the single most important complementary element in my life to get me this far. Now, is that true for anybody else? I have no fucking clue. But it is true for me. Pause. Long pause. And when I think back to my melancholy March spring break episode of last week, well, I wasn't smoking weed at all. And I couldn't even muster the energy to give it a shot because I knew it was going to fail. The best I could hope for is it would make me sleepy and knock me out. But I knew I didn't have the right weed for that, so I just laid off. And I've been laying off since basically mid-January, to the point that I really don't even get all that high anymore, but I still have the associative relaxation that just, placebo or not, occurs as I light up and inhale one more bowl of fresh green Durban poison. No poison for me, my friend. No poison at all. In fact, they should call that shit Durban whipped cream or something. Durban pudding. Durban pudding. There's my weed name for the week. Durban pudding. Pause. Unpause. All right. We got to talk about Boeing's John Barnett. If you don't live in America, then one of the things you may not understand is that there is a very real phenomenon in this country of taking out whistleblowers. Just go look up Michael whatever, the guy in Ohio, Karl Rove had rubbed out. Or just look at the Clintons. That Clinton death list is no joke. There are plenty of places where people conveniently perished that would have otherwise set the Clinton house, at least, if not on fire, well, it would have lit a gasoline starting kindling concern that, well, what can I say? I get you all, but that doesn't mean that what John Barnett went through is not full-on bullshit, and the kind of thing that keeps America from being able to have its moment of self-reflection and revelation into its underbelly of what's truly going on around here. If you can't see that Boeing killed this man, then you can't see. These are simple fucking truths that are right in front of you. Do not be told what to think here. Interpret the situation as called for. John Barnett was murdered for his testimony against Boeing airplanes that are failing at a rate that makes me think, no fucking way do you get me on a Boeing airplane right now. No fucking way. But that's too much truth here in America. So he had to go. I don't even want to get into NGOs at this point. It's too much. But I'll tell you who had fucking Mr. John Barnett suicided. Some NGO. Some NGO. I'm not going to talk about premium subscribers today either. I'll get to that to another point. That I can no longer rely on myself as a master of numbers has become so self-evident it's fucking hilarious. What happened? I don't know. That's a coin flip of such monstrous proportion in my otherwise analytical life. I don't even really want to admit it's true, but it's fucking true. So I wrote it down, and now I will tell you later why I have to live by it. But for now, I just want to get to, as you're changing shit in your life, trying to make yourself a better person, you're working toward an outcome that you have failed at before, but you wanted to achieve, whether it be weight loss or job security or exercise level, whatever long-term achievements that would improve your life by making a better version of you, the part of your life that's active. Well, mostly you want to hold yourself accountable at 3 levels. Where, let's say that you have decided you want to lose weight. Okay. And then, after 2 days of salads and water and fresh fruit and steamed vegetables, well, you suck down 2 cans of goddamn whipped cream. And as you're doing it, you think to yourself, fuck, this is not what I had planned 3 days ago when I told myself I'm going to become the healthiest version of myself ever. Right. No, it is not what you planned. No, this whipped cream festival you're doing, hopefully you're not doing it alone in a closet or like under your bed or something. But whatever weirdness you're doing. Okay, yeah, that shit's got to stop. It's not that big a deal if you're going to change your life that you had an immediate relapse into something that said, we don't want to live without 3,000 empty calories coming to our life every day. What is it with this vegetable routine? Blah! Okay? Your body isn't just going to accept that you decided to be this, so now it's going to go, yeah, great, carrots, more please. So the first level of shit you've got to deal with is, whoa, buddy, this behavior has to stop, right? And here's how lenient you need to be with yourself as this behavior has to stop. You just suck down 2 cans of whipped cream. Okay, there's a third one in the fridge. So, first thing you have to pat yourself on the back with is, I didn't eat the third one yet. Okay? If you can avoid eating the third one, all the better. You've already given yourself a win in behaving better in this category. Now, we still know, whoa, buddy, this behavior has to stop. So my second question is, why do you have 3 cans of whipped cream in your fridge? And my third question is, if you're going to set yourself up for binge failure, it's going to enact at some point. So learn your lessons here as they're here to be learned. You keep another tub of Cool Whip up in the freezer, yeah, that's going to go next. I mean, your ability to keep something on track, even while you're yelling at yourself, whoa, buddy, this behavior has to stop, is really the difference between whether or not you're going to succeed at your long-term goals or you're going to fail. Because the people who give up on themselves because they get themselves into a position of 3 cans of whipped cream scattered about the bedroom floor, that's not a point to give up. That's a point to forgive yourself, realize that this is your new low, and that unless you get to this new low again, frankly, you have something to build on. So if after another day and a half of steamed vegetables and yogurt with fresh fruit and rice cakes, you douse that whole tub of Cool Whip, well, guess what? It's only 1 tub. It wasn't 3. So your next level of monitoring yourself and your improvements is, okay, this is an improvement, but only a slight improvement, and I know that, and we all agree on it. I'm not trying to take credit for something better than it's really been, but it's an improvement, and I've got to always be thinking I can improve. So yeah, once you have crossed that bridge, now everything is about maintaining a trajectory of improvement. And you will continue to have moments of complete chaos and regret for whatever it is that you're trying to turn yourself into as the new you. It's part of the process. Whoa, buddy, this behavior has to stop. Okay, let's see if we can't make that stick. And then every slight improvement is a pat on the back. Unless you land in the third territory where it's, wow, this was easy. This was such a no-brainer that this should have been my pattern all along. Like, I don't know too many people who fall into change and just embrace it with a complete life reset from the get-go. But it can happen. And again, just because most of us are experiencing the, whoa, buddy, this behavior has to stop part of it, doesn't mean there's a whole set of improvements in your life that, believe it or not, don't take a whole lot of effort, are there to be had, and when enacted, are such a no-brainer, you should have been doing it all along. Like brushing your teeth in the shower. Right? Yes, right. Okay, now, that being a small, trivial example does not mean that it's not one of many that, when built upon correctly, give you a whole new look on life that is fucking great. And that's all I've ever wanted to see. you having the kind of life that when you take it from a postcard point of view, well, it's effing great.